Ashli Babbitt was fatally shot on January 6th by Capitol Police during the protest that entered the Capitol building. She was the only person killed directly by violence at the Capitol 6 protests that we are aware of, and that violence came directly from the state. Now, the state has investigated itself and determined that the state did nothing wrong in the killing of Ashli Babbitt. However, the state has refused to turn those details over not only to the public, but also to Ashli Babbitt's husband. He is now suing the Metro Police Department for the details, the results, the video of that investigation, and importantly, the name of the officer who did the shooting, because he and his family intend to file a $10 million wrongful death lawsuit in the killing of Ashli Babbitt. Let's talk about this. I'm Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. I'm a lawyer. I'm also a legal and political commentator on YouTube and on Odyssey. Wherever you're watching, make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and go ahead and like the video as well. And make sure you share it around so that people know what's going on. Here we go. This is from WUSA 9, but this story is being reported in a few other locations as well. Ashli Babbitt's husband has sued the Washington, D.C. police for video and name of the officer who fatally shot her. Aaron Babbitt claims in a new filing that the Metro Police Department has violated D.C.'s Freedom of Information Act law by failing to provide him with the identity of the Capitol Police officer who shot his wife. Now, importantly, you cannot just sue the police. You have to sue the officer who did it and the department and all of that stuff. He needs this information to actually go through with filing his wrongful death lawsuit, which would be a civil rights claim. And the claim is pretty obvious, that the officer violated Ashli Babbitt's civil right to be alive. This is a pretty big thing, and there are tons of questions swirling around this killing. We know only that she was killed while trying to go through some sort of window. We have seen a little bit of video from one side of it. However, there is allegedly more video available of this killing, and of course, the name of the officer involved and the scope of the investigation that was done to determine that this was a necessary use of deadly force. This is a question that is really important because Ashli Babbitt, as far as I am aware, was not armed, did not appear to be engaging in any sort of deadly force that would justify a use of deadly force by the Capitol Police. So the question is, was that appropriate? Was it the appropriate use of force? Now, they have already determined that they will not be filing suit against a police officer. They will not be pursuing criminal charges, but that does not mean that a wrongful death in the civil sense did not occur. And that is what Ashli Babbitt's husband is looking to do to achieve justice for the death of his wife. The husband of Ashli Babbitt, the woman shot and killed while attempting to breach the speaker's lobby during the Capitol riot, is asking a D.C. court to force police to turn over records about the officer who shot her. In a complaint filed in D.C. Superior Court last week, Aaron Babbitt, who lives in San Diego, California, claims the D.C. Metro Police Department has failed to comply with the D.C. Freedom of Information Act. The complaint was filed by Terrell Roberts, an attorney with the Maryland-based firm Robertson Wood, which has been representing the Babbitt family. Babbitt claims in the complaint he filed a Freedom of Information request on April 21st, asking for a slew of documents related to his wife's death, including video footage of this incident. And guys, this article is going to be linked down in the description. In it, you can find also this tweet, which has the statement of facts, which is the list of documents that have been requested, including video footage of the incident, witness statements, and documents that identify the officer or person who shot Ashli Babbitt. To date, the U.S. Capitol Police have not identified which of their officers fired the fatal shot. D.C. police were tasked with investigating the shooting. Their investigation led to the Department of Justice announcing in April that it would not be pursuing charges against the officer in the shooting. And why would they, right? Why would they want to pursue charges against this officer? I mean, they're pursuing charges against all sorts of other officers, but not this one. saying there is insufficient evidence to support a criminal prosecution, which I just must remind people has not been a sufficient excuse for just about any other officer involved shooting. But man, the news is quiet on this one. I am not aware of any weapons possessed by Ashli Babbitt or any threatening acts that she took towards any officer or any other person. Yet, in other officer-involved shootings with clear justification, with clear deadly force being used by the deceased person, officers have been ridiculed as acting too quickly. They have been prosecuted for acting outside of the scope of their discretion. But not this case. Specifically, the investigation revealed no evidence to establish that at the time the officer fired a single shot at Miss Babbitt, the officer did not reasonably believe that it was necessary to do so in self-defense or in defense of the members of Congress and others evacuating the House chamber, the Justice Department said in a statement. I mean, the amount of presumption there is amazing, because they're saying that this officer made a reasonable use of deadly force in shooting Ashli Babbitt, who, again, at least from the video that's publicly available, did not make any direct threatening actions towards the police officer or towards any members of Congress or anybody else, was not in possession of a weapon, was not brandishing a weapon, had not assaulted anyone at the time, merely was potentially guilty of something like trespassing. When did that authorize deadly force? I'm not sure about that. That the officer did not reasonably believe it was necessary to do so in self-defense or in defense of the members of Congress and others evacuating the House chamber, Justice Department said in a statement. In an interview with WUSA 9 last month, Roberts said the family planned to file a $10 million wrongful death lawsuit against the Capitol Police, saying they viewed Babbitt as having been murdered. In the eyes of her family, of course she was, says attorney Terry Roberts. I mean, there was no legal justification to take her life. And a lot has been focused on Ashli Babbitt actually being in the wrong place, being involved in this Capitol protest. But not a lot of time that I've seen has actually been dedicated to figuring out if the officer had the requisite legal justification to shoot, because merely trespassing is not a fatal offense. Babbitt, an Air Force veteran, was a fanatical supporter of former President Donald Trump, according to family members. In the weeks leading up to the Capitol riot, her social media profiles were filled with references to QAnon and Pizzagate conspiracy theories. Well, I guess that's okay then. Now you can shoot her. And accusations that then President-elect Joe Biden was part of a child sex cabal, a common theme of the QAnon conspiracy theory. Why would anybody think that about Joe Biden? I have no idea, but it smells delicious. On January 1st, Babbitt tweeted that she would be in D.C. on January 6th, along with WWG1WGA, denoting the QAnon phrase, "We go one, where we go one, we go all." The day before the Capitol riot, she tweeted, "Nothing will stop us. They can try and try, but the storm is here and it is descending upon D.C. in less than 24 hours. So we have this. Once inside the Capitol building, on January 6th, video shows Babbitt was part of a mob of dozens of rioters using improvised weapons to break glass on doors and windows leading into the speaker's lobby. She was shot while attempting to climb through one of those windows, behind which a number of officers were barricaded. Now, was she wielding an improvised weapon? What's an improvised weapon also? Because I've been told by the media over and over that they had all this information that people were bringing those weapons, that they were bringing weapons to the Capitol. Of course, there weren't any of those weapons reportedly recovered, so I'm not sure. Roberts told WUSA 9 he thought the shooting was an obvious case of excessive force. And in any other context, in legitimately any context outside of the Capitol building, this would be an almost open and shut case of excessive force. Let's be real about this. there'd be very little to discuss outside of the Capitol building itself. And that may be enough. That may be enough of the legal analysis as well. In the Capitol building, violating laws, intending to interfere with an act of Congress, blah, 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 blah. That may be enough for a judge to or for a jury to justify the shooting of Ashli Babbitt. But everybody else has to go to a jury. Why doesn't this guy? She could have easily been stopped by the officer who shot her or numerous other officers who were around and been arrested if that's what they wanted to do. There's no need to shoot her, Roberts said. Any rookie police officer with a set of handcuffs could have taken her into custody. She's an Air Force veteran. She was actually a military police officer herself. I'm sure that she would have complied. In the months since her death, Babbitt's shooting has become a cause célèbre for some on the political right, including Republican Arizona Rep. Paul Gosar. Gosar, a staunch ally of Trump, and according to the Stop the Steal organizer Ali Alexander, one of 3 Republican congressmen who helped organize the January 6th rally, claimed in a hearing last month that Babbitt had been executed. In a statement Wednesday, a D.C. police spokeswoman told WUSA 9 the department doesn't comment on pending litigation. As of Wednesday afternoon, the department attorneys had not yet responded to the court filing. So that is where we are in this case. A very important case, because this has been ignored by the media, swept under the rug by anybody as it was occurred during the verboten event of the January 6th entry into the Capitol. And again, in full disclosure, I am not a huge supporter of the January 6th entry into the Capitol building. I do think it has been overblown, but I do think it was the wrong decision to make. That's easy to say in hindsight with what has become the fallout of it. But that being said, that is my personal opinion on it. That, however, does not justify the shooting of a person. What justifies the use of deadly force by the state is a reasonable decision that the officer is in reasonable fear for his imminent personal safety or the safety of someone else. Ashli Babbitt, to my knowledge, made no threatening acts, possessed no weapon, had assaulted no one at the time she was shot. And I haven't seen any evidence to contravene that analysis. Now, apparently the Metro Police Department and the Department of Justice have reviewed more evidence than I have, and they have made that determination differently. But I think we as the public should have access to that information. And I certainly think that her husband deserves to know the name of the man who killed her. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'll be following along with this one. We'll see how it goes. It's a shame that it might take years for this family to get closure and justice in this case. But we'll see. Until next time, thanks for watching. Peace. Peace.